And Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, and you shall say to them to make tzitzit on the corners of their garments throughout their generations, and to put a blue cord in the tzitzit of the corners. And it shall be to you for a tzitzit, and you shall see it, and shall remember all the commands of Yahweh, and shall do them, and not search after your own heart in your own eyes, after which you went whoring, so that you remember, and shall do all my commands, and be set apart unto your Elohim. Okay, to start out, you're going to need some blue string and some white string also. And for this project, we're using number 95 paracord. You also need a clip to hold it on to, a measuring tape, and some scissors. Now, you don't have to have a clip. You can tie it directly onto whatever garment you're using, but I just prefer to have a clip to make it easier to take on and off. Now, for this number 95 paracord, I am using 52 inches of the blue cord and 24 inches of the white cord. But we need 3 white cords for the project. And here, to make it a little bit easier as far as space constraints go, what I'm doing is measuring out 26 inches and then doubling that to get my 52-inch length. Now when you're making these, you can make the strings a little bit longer if you'd like a little bit longer tassels, but we don't want to make them too long. And they do all their works to be seen by men, and they make their tefillin wide and lengthen the tzitzit of their garments. Now I'm going to measure out 3 different strands of the white cord at 24 inches length in this example. You can also use various other types of string. I've tried yarn in the past, and it didn't really hold up as well as I'd hoped. It usually got frayed and dingy fairly quickly. So I find out that other types of string work better. Before this, I was actually using what they call embroidery floss. And that actually worked out a lot better than the string, but it wasn't as thick as I wanted it to be. So then I found this number 95 paracord at Hobby Lobby, so I decided to give it a try, and it seems to work out pretty good. Although it does seem to be a bit stiff in the end, the final product. So if you'd like a little bit more wavy, then I would personally suggest the embroidery floss, or maybe you can find some other type of string that works better for you. Now I need to secure down our clip if we're using a clip, or if you've got a garment, make sure you secure down your garment, because there will be a fair amount of tug when we go to tying these. Now with this paracord, it is a type of plastic, I think. Maybe, maybe not, but it does melt. So in order to keep the ends from fraying, what I'm doing here is taking a lighter and just barely melting the ends where the ends get molten. And that'll help it keep from fraying loose as you wear them over time. Also remember that the only requirement in Scripture is that there be a thread of blue. The white is not required, so you could use red, or you could use black, or any other color, as long as you have a thread of blue in there. Also, there's no specific way given in Scripture for tying the tzitzit either. What I'm showing you in this video is just one example. And a woman having a flow of blood for 12 years, who, having spent all her livelihood on physicians, was unable to be healed by any, came from behind and touched the tzitzit of his garment, and immediately her flow of blood stopped. And when the men of that place recognized him, they sent out into all that surrounding country, and brought to him all who were sick, and begged him to let them only touch the tzitzit of his garment. and as many as touched it were completely healed. Now what we want to do is gather up the strings into a bundle all together. And then loop them through the clip here or your garment, making sure that there is an even amount on each side so that you have an even amount of white string on each side and an even amount of blue string on each side. Then on each side, you should have 3 strands of white and 1 strand of blue on both the left and the right hand side, with the blue string being longer on both the left and right hand side. Now gather them together. Tie a simple knot just to hold them together. And give it a good cinch so it doesn't come apart. Now your strings won't move around. Now place your non-dominant hand on the strings with your middle finger between the 2 sets of strings. Now take the right hand side of the blue string with your non-dominant forefinger, hold a loop, and then pull the string back around and up through that loop on the left hand side here in this example. And then pull it close so it closes up the 2 bundles, and keep repeating. And keeping your middle finger in between the 2 bundles will keep the 2 sets of strands separate until we need to tie them together again. Now there's different ways of doing this. There's different ways of tying it. You can just simply wrap it around instead of doing the loops like this. But I find that it's easier to do the loops like this because it helps keep count if you're one to keep count of the loops. And there's different ways, different styles as far as the number of loops go. In this example, and the way I do mine is I do 10 loops and then 5 loops and then 6 loops and then 5 loops. And this 10, 5, 6, 5 is in representation of the tetragrammaton, which is 10, 5, 6, 5. That's according to the number in the Hebrew letters. Yod He Vav He, 10, 5, 6, 5. So on this first set, we're going to be doing 10 loops. And here I'm just counting to make sure I've got my 10. When you got your 10, put that blue string back with the group it's supposed to go with, and then do a simple knot to tie off this set of loops. And now separate them in their 2 bundles again. A bundle of 3 white and 1 blue, and a bundle of 3 white and 1 blue. And then make sure your middle finger is in between them to keep them separated of your non-dominant hand. And take the longer of the blue cords this time and start doing your second set of loops, which in this example is going to be a set of 5. And wherever he went, into villages or cities or the country, they were laying the sick in the marketplaces and begged him to let them touch if only the tzitzit of his garment. And as many as touched him were healed. Then when you're done with your second set, do another simple knot to keep all these together. Make sure you got 2 sets on each side, 3 white and a blue on either side. Then repeat the same process, making sure you take the longer of the blue strings to do your loops with. And now on my set here, we're going to be doing a set of 6 loops. Then when you're done with your set, once again, do another simple knot. Make sure it's good and snug so it doesn't come apart. And now I'm going to be doing my final set, which is a set of 5 loops, making sure to take the longer of the blue strings. Then when you're finally done with your last set, do another simple knot to tie it all together. Give it a good cinch. And of course, if you're unsure about whether or not it's going to come loose or not, you can always take and place a dab of hot glue or epoxy or super glue or something down at the bottom to make sure that the knot will not come loose. Make tassels on the 4 corners of the garment with which you cover yourself.